Imagine for a moment that you have everything. A family that loves you, a talent that sets you apart, and a promise of prosperity. But deep down, you know that your greatest enemy isn't debt. It's not a lack of opportunity. Your greatest enemy is an invisible monster. The fear that paralyzes you, the anxiety that robs you of sleep. You try to fight them, but they follow you, whisper lies, and prevent you from taking the next step. What I'm going to reveal to you today isn't just another tip. It's a secret hidden in the Bible that once discovered has the power to break the chains of anxiety and free you to the life God promised you. And the story I'm going to tell you of a man who discovered this secret in the darkest moment of his life will change your perception of faith forever. The story is about a man named Lucas. Lucas was a craftsman. He worked with wood, creating rustic furniture full of life and soul. If you walked into his small workshop, you would smell the sweet scent of cedar, the strong aroma of varnish, and the warmth of fresh sawdust. His hands, calloused and strong, were proof of a passion that manifested itself in every piece he created. But Lucas's talent was eclipsed by his fear. A paralyzing fear of failure, of not being good enough, of not being able to provide for his family. He had a wife, Anna, who loved and supported him, and a young son who saw him as a hero. And it was this love that filled him with fear, the fear of disappointing them, of not being the provider he felt he should be. Lucas's anxiety was a silent monster. It manifested itself in insomnia, in trembling hands when he needed to close an important deal, in nights when he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his heart racing in a whirlwind of thoughts about the future. What if I don't get the next contract? What if raw material prices rise? What if the crisis worsens and no one buys my furniture anymore? He was a prisoner of his own mind, incapable of action, of growth, of prosperity. His workshop was filled with unfinished projects, each a reminder of an opportunity lost because of his fear. Things reached a breaking point when a friend, a successful businessman, made him an offer he couldn't refuse. A contract to furnish a new luxury hotel, a massive project that would catapult his business to another level. But the offer came with a condition. He would have to invest a considerable amount in materials, and the deadline was tight. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the answer to all his prayers. But fear was like an insurmountable wall. His mind, captive to anxiety, listed every possible failure scenario. What if he invested and the project failed? What if he couldn't deliver on time? He would taste the bitter taste of failure. He would see his family suffer. Fear paralyzed him. He looked at the contract and, heartbroken, told his friend he couldn't accept. "I'm sorry, I can't." That night, Lucas didn't sleep. He felt like a coward. He felt like a failure. His wife, Anna, who heard him say no, sat beside him on the edge of the bed and held his hand. "Lucas," she said, "I don't care if you have money or not. I care about your peace. Your fear is killing you. You pray, you read the Bible. Where is your faith?" Those words, coming from the one he loved most, struck him like a thunderbolt. Where was his faith? Where was the peace the Bible promised? In an act of total and complete surrender, Lucas picked up his Bible and, in a silent cry, asked God for an answer. And his eyes fell on a verse he had read hundreds of times but had never truly understood. It was the secret, the key to his problem. The secret to overcoming fear and anxiety wasn't in making things work out. It was in a simple truth, but one he needed to live by. The secret, living by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7, "For we live by faith, not by sight." Lucas felt a shock. His anxiety, he realized, was the result of living by sight. He saw his empty bank account and felt fear. He saw the uncertainty of the future and felt anxiety. He was trying to control something invisible. He couldn't see what God was preparing for him. He couldn't see the end of the story. And the secret was precisely this. He didn't need to see. He just needed to trust. He needed to live by faith, not by what his eyes saw. This revelation transformed his prayer. He no longer prayed for fear to go away. He prayed, "Lord, give me the courage to live by faith, even when I can't see what's in front of me." And the next day, he called his friend. Lucas's first action was an act of blind faith. He called his friend and said, "I was wrong. I accept the project." His voice trembled, his palms sweated, but he acted. He didn't have a plan, but he had God's promise. He couldn't see how it would all work out, but he trusted. It was the first step on a journey where he would be guided by something he couldn't see. His friend, surprised, said the deadline was too short, but that he would give Lucas a chance. The anxiety was still there. It tried to manifest itself, tried to whisper lies. But with each fearful thought, Lucas repeated his new prayer, his new truth. "I live by faith, not by sight." He stopped focusing on the problems and began to focus on the work, on his hands, on every detail of each piece of wood. He couldn't see the end result, but he could see the next step. Lucas's second act, also an act of faith, was generosity. In the middle of the project, with money tight, he felt an impulse to donate. He had promised to give a portion of his income to an orphanage, and even with bills piling up, he took an envelope with his money, the only money he had, and handed it to the orphanage director. "I'm giving this to you by faith. I know God is faithful and will provide the rest." That act of giving what he didn't have broke the chain of fear of scarcity. He no longer feared lack because his faith was his provision. The project was a success. The furniture he created for the hotel was a work of art. The client, impressed by his quality, hired him for other projects, and soon his small workshop became a thriving business. But Lucas's greatest victory wasn't financial prosperity. His greatest victory was peace. He was no longer a prisoner of his own mind. He lived by faith. He didn't need to see what the future held because he knew God's hand was guiding him. His anxiety, once a constant, was now just a distant memory. His prosperity was the natural consequence of a life that overcame fear. The secret he discovered was not a magic formula, but a liberating truth. And the Bible is full of them. Do you believe this really happened? Have you ever experienced something similar? If this story touched you, if you feel like you need a new direction, it's no coincidence that you've reached the end of this video. This is your calling. I invite you to join us. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos, and leave your comment below. I live by faith. Share this video with someone who needs new hope, because when we share the blessing, it multiplies. And I'll see you in the next video.